Hey folks, welcome back. I am Hermione. Welcome back to the Book Corner. I'm an author and lover of all good things literature. So before I begin this video, I was like nearly 8 minutes in the video and then realized, oh no, I forgot to mention this. There's going to be spoilers for the book, A Fire in the Sky. So if you have not read the book or whatever, then and you don't want spoilers, then don't watch the video because this is going to be a spoiler-filled review. I am going to be talking about the characters, about the world, and basically about why I think this book is really good. Now, before I begin, I want to say that this is probably not everybody's cup of tea. Books are not meant for everyone. There is always books out there that are not meant for you. This is one of my biggest problems with people that do book reviews, and even I do it myself from time to time, is they will do everything in their power to get you to not buy the book because they don't like the book, so they automatically believe they have the right to convince you to not buy the book. If you want to buy any book that I personally did not like, go ahead and do it. I'm not keeping you from doing it. I don't do book reviews to get people to not buy the book. I do book reviews because I bought the book or I borrowed the book and I did not like it. So yeah. So, with my tongue thoroughly quenched, let's begin. So the title of the book is called A Fire in the Sky. And it's about a world in which dragons, who are magical creatures, were hunted to near extinction. And they believe that they're gone because dragons have not flown in the sky for hundreds of years. That's an allusion to the truth. And the truth actually gets revealed much later on down the road in the book. So I'm going to refer to the female character as T because I cannot pronounce her name. So T is a 20-some-year-old woman, not girl, woman, who is the royal whipping girl. Now, she's not the royal whipping woman because that's just weird. She's a royal whipping girl. And her job is to get whipped, in the place of her sisters. She has her own maid, she has her own servants. She's basically treated like a member of the royal household until she isn't. So, her status as the royal whipping girl will only end when the sisters are married off, and generally to people that do alliances. T's past is very, very murky. So she has this very vivid red hair. And that is one of the marks in this world of being a witch. Now, in this world, witches helped humans to kill the dragons. What did humans do in return for their loyalty? Well, they kind of burned them at the stake. And so witches are now so terrified of being caught, they have actually buried their magic very, very deep. And I will later on get to the woman who started this whole lovely tradition. So T has a very, very murky past. The royal chamberlain does not like her. Wolves do not like her. These wolves used to have one job, and that was to kill dragons. So basically what happens is this gentleman shows up. He's the lord of the Borderlands. And the Borderlands are the people that have kept the rest of the country safe. Well, just because you help don't mean that you're liked. And he comes and he wants to marry one of the princesses so that he will have a voice at the table. He cares about his people. Now, this guy's past is just as murky as T's past. He was found as a baby wailing his lungs out in the den next to a dead dragon. Not just any kind of dragon, a female dragon. And so his assumption is that the dragon stole him from his family, and of course, that's what he believes. He was adopted by the Lord of the Borderlands because he did not have children, and he said, I'm too old to hook up with another woman, in some kind of sense of that word. So instead of allowing him to marry one of their beautiful daughters, he marries the royal whipping girl without knowing it until he consummates the marriage. Now, I will stop here for a moment and say this. For people that want to know spice level, because that seems to be a big thing today in this world, 1.5. There's 2 sex scenes in the entire book. 2. And hence why I liked it, because it wasn't in your face all the time, which is great. It leaves room for growth and development of characters and world building when you don't have sex in every single page. So getting back to it. So after he finds out that he has been basically duped into marrying the royal whipping girl, he takes her to the Borderlands. And there, as they're progressing it, they encounter a blood witch who gave her something for her pain, which and the guy's name is Fel. Fel was very appreciative about. He was even willing to pay for it, and she goes, no, I don't want your payment. You know. But he was very relieved, especially when he found out that she was literally, like, down below, like, because she was on a horse. Yeah. So as they're traveling, she makes a couple mistakes. One of them is giving this bandit her necklace to pay for the toll that doesn't exist. And so what happens is that she's told by Myrta, who is the female shield maiden, to not go too far. Because she knows T does not know anything about these woods. And she's kind of loyal to her Lord of the Borderlands. Not this one guy. This one guy is bent and determined to kill Fel's wife. Because to him, she is not fit to even lick Fel's boots. Now, Fel's not like this. Fel is determined to use her as a pawn to get back at the king that did him wrong. And the king and his ancestors are very famous for this. Treachery is in their bloodline, as we later on find out in the book. So he goes to kill her. And he doesn't come out of it alive. And this is when we find out exactly what T is. T is not a witch, as Lord Chamberlain thought. She's a fire-breathing dragon. And it's like, that was the twist. And it was like, what the... Dragons are supposed to be gone. How is she a dragon? How is it even possible? How could 2 dragons give birth, sire and develop a human? Like, this is impossible. This is against, nature. I was literally going. My mouth dropped when I saw that. And she turns him into barbecue. And note to self, I did not feel bad for this guy. This guy's a fucking idiot. The last words out of his mouth is, what the hell are you? Yeah, you're being roasted alive by a dragon. That's what she is. So, she flies away. And, of course, Fel believes that she got taken by the evil dragon. and it causes him to literally lose his mind. So she arrives back to where she had been before, and she meets up with the Blood Witch. And she's totally cool. Like, yeah, I'm totally cool with this. And so she, so she goes and she shows her how to turn back into a human. And that is when, she finds out something about this whole thing. So there was once a witch called Vera. And Vera was born with more power than common sense. She was so powerful, but she lacked common sense, which is not a good thing. A woman having power and no common sense generally is not a good thing. And she fell in love with this king called, I believe his name was Axion. I'm probably not even pronouncing it right. And he is the ancestor to the king that took Tien. And of course she thought what all young people think. He loves me. He's gonna make me his queen. It's gonna be wonderful. So the king asks her to use her power to kill all the dragons. What does the council tell her not to do? Don't you dare cast that spell! And then they tried to tell her it's not going to actually do what you think it's going to do, because they know it's not going to kill the dragons. You cannot kill a dragon using magic. So what does she do? Oh, my elders don't know nothing. They don't know nothing at all. So she casts the spell. Well, the spell didn't exactly have the effect that she thought it was going to. It didn't kill the dragons. It weakened them, but it didn't kill them. What the spell did was it affected the reproductive cycle of the female dragon. So, dragons would do it, but when they gave birth, well, this was what they did not know. Nobody knew this. But basically what it did was the babies that would come out of the dragon would not look like dragons. They would look like human babies. Now, because dragons knew what human beings look like, because they knew how human beings acted like, and they also knew that human beings were worse monsters than they would have ever been themselves, we find out that T, when she was born looking like she is human. And her father didn't like it. Her father was going to kill his own daughter because she looks human. Well, what does her mother do? Her mother does the most amazing and wonderful thing that a mother could possibly do. Convinces her mate to allow her to be the one to kill their child. And she said to her mate, I will not bring murder into the den. So she flies away with her baby, and instead of killing it, like eating it, she drops it off. Guess where? The king who made their lives a living hell. And of course, like with all that, she got invited in the royal family, became the whipping girl, and all that. So, Vera got rewarded for what she did by the king. She wasn't made queen. She was made, well, a living torch. She was burned alive at the stake. And it started the whole process of witches being burned and all that. So she started the persecution of witches. So what happens is, during the time that she's not there, her husband sends falconers out to let her family know, by the way, your daughter is dead by a dragon. Well, they don't believe him. And they're partly right. She wasn't killed by a dragon. She is the dragon. And so the captain of the guard, whose name is Sig, who, by the way, is a royal asshole at the very end of the book. I liked him in the beginning, but at the end I didn't like him. First of all, I didn't like him because, first of all, he's lusting after another man's wife. Why in the world do you think this is even good to do? Lo and behold, lots of people have fallen for lusting after another man's wife. So, yeah, he wants to kill the husband to take the wife, which is wrong on so many fucking levels. And then, of course, when he thinks that T is dead, he's like, oh, I'm going to cut his head off and put it on a pike and then steal your woman and marry her. So when he finds out that T is alive, he decides that he's going to put some moves on her, which is not a good idea, especially the fact that she's starting to fall in love with her own husband. And guess what? She's not going to give up her husband for him. No, she's not going to give up her husband for him. So he attempts to kiss her, and her husband happens to be nearby. And he fucking loses his mind. So, one of the things that she also notices, again, before that particular event happens, is she goes and she breaks the bottle of perfumed oil, and notices that her blood is not red, it's purple. And she remembers way back before she even met Fel that there was a tapestry of a dragon being slain. And the only way you can kill a dragon is with another dragon, which is dragon bone. Her blood is the blood that was in that tapestry thing. And so basically she now knows that, yeah, she's a dragon, because her blood is purple. Dragon's blood is purple. Even when they give birth to other dragons, their blood is purple. So she goes and tries to tell Sig that she's the dragon that people are hunting. And this is how you know that Fel loves this woman. When T reveals what she really is, Sig loses his mind. And he shows under all that kindness and love, oh, he just loves her so much, that he is a bigoted bastard. And he does what he deserves, all the death he gets. You can tell I don't like Sig. And what happens is, her husband more than is able to give him the death that he rightly deserves. And he's telling her, go, get out of here, because he doesn't want her to die. Well, what does this guy end up doing? He ends up kind of being a dragon rider. And without the training. And they fly away. They fly away to the crags. And that is when he discovers something very astonishing about the crags. They still have dragons in them. Lots and lots of dragons. And what do the dragons do when they spot a human being in their airspace? Well, you can give me a guess what happens. They go and attack. Now, they don't attack her because she's in her dragon form. But they attack him, and he falls off of her. Like, don't fall off your wife's back. That is not good. And he's fallen to the ground, and he knows he's going to die, because he knows that you fall from that great height, you're going to be dead. And the weird thing is, it all comes out. he transforms into a dragon. And this is basically when the second sex scene happens. And this is basically, they turn back into people, and of course they do it in this cave. Not realizing, much to T's utter embarrassment, that there's actual people in there. Like, they just chose a random cave and did it. While there's probably about 100 people in that cave. And you can pretty much tell that T is mortified. Because why is it every time we go to have sex, there's people? Like, just, he's doomed forever to, like, be in the spotlight. But here's the weird thing about these people. That freaking gives you a very good idea of why the council told Vera not to cast that spell. Okay? They warned her that that spell has unintended consequences. There is a price that you have to, that is going to be paid from that spell. Basically, if you use it against a magical creature, you might think that it worked, but it's going to have an unintended side effect that the people who created the spell did not even think could happen. So what happened? What happened to the dragons, especially the female dragons? So as I said, they were in a cave doing it, with probably about 100 people kind of watching once again, because, you can't gain privacy in this world. Here's the thing. They all look human. We're going to click that for a second and realize what was the end result of the spell. Well, what the end result of the spell was, it created these dragon shifters. And this is from reading the book and coming to the conclusion. Especially the fact is they're all butt-ass naked, okay? Of course, I totally understand that you're butt naked because you happen to be dragons, and dragons don't need clothes. It also helps you shift better. You don't have to worry about ruining anything. So everyone in this cave looks human, but they live in the crag with the dragon. So what does that tell you? Well, it tells you that every one of these people are not really people. They're dragons. The humanoid form they're in is a shell of what they act to hide what they are. So the little boy that was discovered was actually the dragon that was killed was his mother. Now, what this actually means is dragons can hide in plain sight. That was the side effect of the spell. They do not have to worry about being discovered because they can hide among people. This makes them even more terrifying and even more dangerous to other people, because other people, they don't even know if the guy down the road is a dragon. So what basically happened was these female dragons were giving birth to hatchlings that did not come from an egg. There was no egg. They gave birth, how women give birth, to a dragon that looked human. Now, because there was so many of them, I mean, I'm going to guess there was like maybe 30, 40, 50 of them. Most likely, the dragons came to the conclusion that the spell that Vera cast on them caused this. So, it ends with this one guy appearing, and he says, hello, ... brother. So, the guy who's talking to them is Fel's brother. So, this was a very interesting cliffhanger in the book. So, I know I watched a little bit of Read with Rachel's review of A Fire in the Sky, and she absolutely hated this book. She thought this book was undercooked. What the fuck does that mean? And she just didn't like it. And she goes, I dare you to tell me, well, you don't like anything. I'm gonna, okay, I'm gonna say this, okay? I read A Gilded Crown because she thought the book was really good, or was good. I hated the book. The book was so god awful. She doesn't like a book, and I read it, and I end up liking it. I end up like, okay, it's going on my shelf. What does that tell you? Don't ever listen to book reviewers. Okay? Now, I still do book reviews because they're fun. I love doing book reviews. I think they're absolutely wonderful. It's a great way to get your own opinion out there and whatnot. But you should form your own opinion about a book. And as much as, you know, you want to use them to avoid problematic books and stuff like that, sometimes you have to read the problematic books to find out why someone believes they're so problematic. Now, if you're talking about a book that's going to be part of a series, do not expect much plot development. But as it progresses through the books, then your expectation for plot development should grow. Hold on a second. I love it that she didn't have these two jumping each other's bones every three pages or every third chapter or whatever. I love it. The fact is that we got a character that had a very murky past, that you really didn't know where she came from. You know, you don't understand, like, why would they kill dragons? Like, why would they burn witches at the stake? And then as you're reading it and you hear how it happened, you kind of think about, you know, you go back to Fell and you're like, well, this guy doesn't really have a past. You know, they just found him in a freaking dragon cave, and you're kind of suspecting there might be a lot more to that scene than what you thought. And when he finally appears as a dragon, a silver dragon, which is absolutely beautiful, you're like, okay, now I know. You also get the full impact of what that spell did to the dragons. And also, the thing about it is that if you go and look at the king and the king's ancestor who was responsible for what happened, you know, responsible for even encouraging this girl to cast this spell, and how they have built their empire on blood and pain and death and all that type of stuff. So you really understand that what he's done to T by making her the royal whipping girl, the psychological abuse, the I would just say Stockholm syndrome. The fact is that all she had was these beautiful memories of the queen, which I'm gonna say this: the queen is not genetically tied to the threshing. She came to the land as a princess and married the king. I really hope she doesn't die in this series. You have all these indications that T is not fully, like, human. I mean, you know, with the wolves and stuff like that. But you never suspect, and this is good, this is one thing I really did like about the book. You don't suspect that she's a dragon until the guy, Axion, I believe, not Axion, sorry, that one guy tries to kill her, and then she defends herself, which is totally permissible to do. And and we get like the details, but not so detailed about the borderlands and about the people and things like that. Um, Very interesting, and I think what stings the most for T is the betrayal that Sig does. That he loved her when he thought she was human, but the moment that he realizes that she is something she cannot help being, he turns and it becomes hatred. And if he died in the first book, because if that's an off the page death, that's totally fine. I'm fine with off the page deaths. Um, then it was of his own making. It was his choice to do this to a girl that he once was in love with. Another thing, and there was a couple people that there was this. She was explaining about like how the MC or main character that basically that what did she say? I want to get it right because I hate. Okay, let me go back. The impression I got from her was that, the relationship didn't feel natural. Um, they didn't really talk, and stuff. And, when you sit down and read the book, I mean, really read the book, not looking for stuff you can complain about in a video. When you go and really look at, her inner dialogue, she's terrified about what she now knows she is. She, she doesn't quite understand why would he sleep in the same bed with a murderer. And as much as her killing him was justified, which is something that I really believe is justified because he was going to kill her. He had no intention of ever being loyal to what Fel wanted. She still feels like that she's a killer. She feels like that his blood's on her hands and she is a monster, and why in the world would you love a monster? I don't see her as a monster. I see her as a woman who basically was pushed to do this and she didn't want to do it. Another thing that we also see in the book is this shape-shifting creature that has the ability to incite lust. And and as a dragon, she has the ability to resist or to be able to see through illusions, which is a really great ability. I really love her ability to see through illusions and to what it actually is. And she basically hogties this creature. And he'd go make a comment. His father would say she had moot or someone. It was an M. Basically, yeah, she got some grit. She got some grit. She no little pansy girl. But yeah, and I really hope that as we progress in the series, that we see a lot more plot development, a lot more character development. I think that people are so used to having everything just dumped on them and like everything answered for them very quickly, and that is something you don't get in the book. You have to read the book to get the answers, which is absolutely, I believe, vital for you to be able to progress as a free-thinking adult or something like that. Also, one of the other people that reviewed it said there was no trigger warnings. I like my books that don't have those. I don't. But I really think that she did a solid job with this book. She has published tons of books. She's not Colleen Hoover, people, okay? But I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to read her other books, because she said a little bit in the after the story was over about basically she's done this kind of thing before with dragon shifters, which I think is really awesome. I use dragon shifters in my own book. It's actually the they're called the Dragon Army. They can actually shift into dragons, and of course she can do as well. But we're not going to see that till like much later on in the book, which is my intention. And I'm really glad to see that I'm not the only one who has the idea of we don't see her shifting into a dragon until later on. I do get a kick out of the fact is they were intimate the second time, and there were still people watching them, which I thought was funny as hell. I think she come to the conclusion that her life will never have privacy. Also, I love also about Fell as a character. I really love the fact that he's yearning for something that's so basic. He wants family because he doesn't have a family up until the guy says, "Hello, brother." And I'm pretty sure none of them watched. I hope not. That would have been embarrassing. But he doesn't have family. He doesn't. He thinks that he's alone in the world, which is so sad. Because it's kind of like it just tears at your psyche to like, oh, I'm all alone in this world. Absolutely loved the whole idea of like, he wants this so badly, and now that he has a wife, which comes with the rest of it, he's really hoping that she's already pregnant because he wants to hold his babe, and it's really sweet and everything, and I loved it. I really think it's about connections. And I think when you review bomb a book and you don't get the meaning behind the yearning. T yearns for acceptance and to be part of the family, to be seen more, not seen as a whipping girl, but as a member of the family. And that's sad. It is. Because you feel like that she is just right on the edge of being accepted, and then it gets pulled out from her. And then Fell, his adopted father raised him to be the Lord of the Borderland. But he's constantly thinking about, who were my parents, what kind of people were they and everything. And then when we find out that they're both dragons, and we find out the full extent of the spell that Varys cast all those time ago, we're like, these children who grew up to be adults, these children were born in a way that shouldn't even be possible. And I think that's where like some people do get their gripes about, because this is something that should not be even possible. But magic you can do all sorts of things with the idea of magic, and you can do all sorts of things with like, okay, I'm going to create a spell that does this, and people are going to complain, but you're going to stand by your decision. So, anyways, absolutely loved this book. This book is definitely one of my favorites for 2024. Speaking of favorites and non-favorites, I will be releasing 2 videos the 30th, and it's going to be my favorite books of 2024 and my most hated books of 2024. And there was a lot of books that I did not like, and there was books that I did like. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go through my Goodreads and all the books that I read, and then because this doesn't go off when I do that, I will be able to do the list. So, anyways, I give this book 5 stars. It is a great book. It is great if you don't want a book that's chock full of sex scenes. It's great if you like a world in which people assume something that's not true. And also, you know, just a girl that has a past that she doesn't know anything about, and secrets that she doesn't even know that she's got. So, anyways, I'm in here. Dang, that's a long, long ass review. But I kind of wanted to go into it a lot more, and I kind of want to do that in 2025. I kind of want to get into the meat of a video, not sorry, meat of a book, and go, okay, this is what I read, this is what it's about, this is what I liked about it, some of the things I saw that were problems. Just kind of a really well, thoroughly planned out book review. And what I'm actually going to actually do to ensure that I can actually do it, I'm going to take every single one of the 25 books that I choose to read for the month of January, and I am going to basically tell you in detail each book. So I gotta warn you guys, it might end up being a very, very long video. I am going to try not to make it a totally long video, but we never know. I may end up doing it. I may end up doing it like going through like 5 books and then upload, and yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So I will see you guys next time, and yeah, be well.